Hello, and welcome to another episode of Recovery for the Narcissist podcast. I am your host, Dr. Eric Perry. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do so you never miss an episode. For those of you who are regular listeners, you already know that this podcast is specifically intended to help you break the negative patterns of narcissistic tendencies so you can live a healthier, happier, and more fulfilled life. In today's episode, I would like to discuss a commonly used term called flying monkeys. I would like to point out that this episode might be challenging to listen to, especially if you are someone who exhibits narcissistic traits. I say this because the term flying monkeys is tied directly to tactics related to narcissistic abuse. But if you've listened to my other episodes, then you already know that my intention is never to be judgmental of you. In fact, I'm actually very proud of you for being here and listening. And just because it isn't easy to change doesn't mean that it's impossible. My goal is to help you become more aware in order to improve your relationships and ultimately your life. So be brave and keep listening. The term flying monkeys was coined from the movie The Wizard of Oz. The flying monkeys in this movie were under the spell of the Wicked Witch of the West and would do her bidding against Dorothy and her friends. Many of you listening may not find it easy to relate to this idea that you use other people to psychologically attack others. Because this term is commonly used to describe a tactic that is used by narcissistic individuals, it's important for you to know about it so you can make some positive adjustments in your life if necessary. It is very possible that you don't realize that sometimes you exhibit this behavior. It's important to understand that the tactic of using flying monkeys occurs on a spectrum. This spectrum can range all the way from starting a smear campaign to very subtly turning family members against another family member. A smear campaign is any intentional or premeditated effort to attack or undermine an individual's or group's character, credibility, or reputation. We often see large-scale smear campaigns in politics where a government official, political candidate, or public figure is targeted. Smear campaigns can also occur for companies, private persons, formal groups, etc. The difference between a smear campaign and a regular debate or discourse is that the issues raised do not reflect actual concerns, but instead are simply an attempt to defame the target. Lies, half-truths, and unverifiable accusations are generally used in a smear campaign. Flying monkeys play a critical role in allowing a smear campaign to succeed. On the other hand, a flying monkey can also be used in a much less obvious way. If you do create smear campaigns, it's time to consider truly working on yourself. This is also your moment to take some ownership of this behavior. As I always say, awareness is key. It's time to deeply reflect on this area of your life. Something to keep in mind is that individuals who exhibit narcissistic tendencies and behaviors tend to be competitive at least to some degree. Win at any cost, by any means necessary. This is how you might subconsciously approach your arguments. It's also not uncommon that narcissistic individuals hold grudges and can easily take the actions of others personally. This would be another motivator for why someone who is narcissistic may start a small or large-scale smear campaign using flying monkeys. The concept of flying monkeys is something I would like for you to start thinking about. Give it some thought. Maybe you have used this tactic in the past, or maybe you're using it now. I know it isn't easy to look at yourself under a microscope, but think of it this way. You are simply paying attention to the details of your life. One of the most difficult things to do is to watch the film of a game you played and lost. But if you are brave and you decide to watch it, you will see the mismatches, the gaps, the areas where your strategy can actually be improved for the better. That's what you're doing. And you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Recovery for the Narcissist. I am your host, Dr. Eric Perry, and until next time, see you soon.